1890s Chicago, a building loomed on the corner of 63rd and Wallace, its sinister secrets hidden behind an innocuous facade. This was the murder castle of H. Holmes, America's first serial killer. The three-story structure was a labyrinth of horrors, designed for one purpose: murder. Windowless rooms with airtight seals trapped victims, slowly suffocating them. Gas lines snaked through the walls, allowing Holmes to fill rooms with noxious fumes at will. Secret chutes led to the basement, where acid vats and a crematorium awaited. Holmes lured victims with promises of jobs or lodging, especially during the 1893 World's Fair. Once inside, they became prey in his twisted game of cat and mouse. The exact number of victims remains unknown. Even after Holmes's execution, locals whispered of restless spirits haunting the cursed grounds. Some claim to hear phantom screams and see ghostly figures in the dead of night. For more chilling tales of real-life horror, like and follow. Sweet dreams, if you dare.
This place was built just to live out the dark fantasies of its creator, on some unsuspecting guests. It's H. Holmes' Hotel of Horrors. So Holmes moved to Chicago in the late 1800s so that he could open a hotel for the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. Apparently he was a hit amongst the ladies, even though I don't see it, but I guess it was slim pickings amongst those that didn't die of tuberculosis in their youth. And this hotel was full of nefarious instruments. Down in the basement there was an incinerator that was person-sized. He had a chute that went from a windowless room all the way down to the basement. There were rooms that were either completely sealed or had too many doors in order to confuse guests. Guests would often complain about their doors being jiggled at night as if someone was trying to get in their room. And as the hotel was being built, workers would constantly complain about H. Holmes' weird behavior. There were reports that he would ask people working on the hotel if they were willing to kill another worker for him, and if they said no, he would fire them. And this, children, is why we need unions. Not to mention a shocking number of women were disappearing from the hotel. So this is the part of the video where you get to guess what he was doing in there, and we're gonna say it together on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3, skeleton harvesting. That's right, he was harvesting skeletons to sell to a local medical school. This only lasted for 2 years until he was found and convicted of murder, but some reports say he killed up to 200 people in there, mostly women. Some people also believe that he was Jack the Ripper, but that is for another video. Anyways, we're going to talk about more scary homes later. Bye!
Let's talk about how H. Holmes built a whole murder castle to kill people in. Using stolen money, he bought an empty lot in the Englewood neighborhood of Chicago. There he built a labyrinth of soundproof rooms, secret passages, and maze-like hallways and staircases. Some rooms allegedly had trapdoors where Holmes could drop victims into the basement. The basement was said to have acid vats, pits of quicklime which is used on decaying corpses, and a crematorium. Holmes claimed to have killed more than 200 people in his murder castle, but experts now believe that number was way lower. He was hanged in Philadelphia in 1896, and the only building that still exists on this plot of land is the Englewood Post Office.
What was H. Holmes' murder castle? H. Holmes, one of America's first known serial killers, became infamous not only for his crimes, but also for his infamous murder hotel in Chicago. This mysterious building was once thought to be just a regular hotel and a way for Holmes to generate money during the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. However, the H. Holmes Hotel allegedly had 100 rooms packed with trapdoors, gas chambers, and stairs to nowhere. But some historians have recently questioned whether the H. Holmes Hotel was indeed a murder castle. Some experts believe that some of his hotel's most horrific elements might have been the result of yellow journalism. But in the end, only the man himself knew all of the H. Holmes Hotel's secrets and how many people died within its walls. Some estimates claim the actual number may have been as low as 9 or as high as 200.
The truth about America's first serial killer, H. Holmes, might be darker than you think. Born Herman Mudgett, Holmes had a fascination with death from an early age. As a medical student, he began stealing cadavers and using them to collect insurance money, but this was only the beginning. In Chicago, he reinvented himself as Dr. Holmes and built a hotel with one twisted purpose. Known as the Murder Castle, his hotel was a labyrinth of trapdoors, soundproof rooms, and gas chambers designed to trap and kill his guests. During the 1893 World's Fair, countless people entered the hotel, many of them to never be seen again. In 1896, Holmes was finally taken to the gallows for his crimes, confessing to 27 murders throughout the late 1800s. sealing his place in history as America's first serial killer.
Step into the shadows of the late 19th century and meet H.H. Holmes, a man whose life reads like a horror novel. Born Herman Webster Mudgett in 1861, Holmes was a charming but deeply disturbed individual. He moved to Chicago in the early 1890s and began constructing an elaborate hotel, infamously dubbed the Murder Castle. This building was a labyrinth of rooms, hidden passages, and deadly traps designed to ensnare unsuspecting victims. Over the course of his twisted career, Holmes lured countless individuals to their doom. He was arrested in 1894, but his crimes soon became known as he confessed to 27 murders, although the true number may never be known. His charm and intelligence allowed him to evade capture for so long, making him a master manipulator. Holmes was ultimately convicted of murder and executed in 1896, but his legacy lives on. His story inspired countless books and films, perpetuating the myth of the Murder Castle. This chilling tale raises questions about evil, manipulation, and the darker sides of human nature. As we delve into his life, we are left to ponder the depths of his depravity and the darkness that can dwell within us all.
Have you ever heard of the Beast of Chicago, considered America's first serial killer? Get ready for 7 spine-chilling facts about H.H. Holmes, the man who constructed a literal murder castle and is known as the first documented serial killer in United States history. Before being called the criminal of the century, Holmes was born Herman Webster Mudgett in New Hampshire in 1861. He confessed to committing 27 murders, but researchers believe it's possible he killed up to 200 people. 2. He didn't just murder for fun, he murdered for wealth. Holmes would steal his victims' property and sell their skeletons to medical schools for profit. 3. He constructed the infamous Murder Castle, a hotel in Chicago with soundproof torture rooms, gas chambers, and other horrific traps to kill his victims. 4. Holmes lured his victims to his hotel with promises of employment or lodging and then killed them. He also conned a number of women with the promise of marriage, murdering them after getting engaged and taking control of their savings. 5. He required his employees to carry life insurance policies with him named as the beneficiary, and then he'd kill them to collect the money. 6. He was actually arrested multiple times for insurance fraud, and he was only caught after murdering a business associate he killed to collect life insurance on. And lastly, 7. Ironically, before his execution, he requested that his coffin be encased in cement to stop grave robbers from stealing his body for dissection.
Hey there, I suppose you want to hear about my life. Well, my name's H.H. Holmes, though some folks knew me as Herman Webster Mudgett. Born in May 1861, in Gilmanton, New Hampshire, I had a pretty regular childhood, I reckon. You see, I had an inclination towards medicine from a young age, and I pursued it, eventually becoming a licensed pharmacist. But that wasn't enough for me. I had much bigger plans,
much darker plans.
In the late 1880s, I moved to Chicago, and that's when things got interesting, or rather, sinister. I built a hotel, a massive one, known as the World's Fair Hotel, during the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition. It was designed with hidden rooms, secret passages, and traps. Perfect for my wicked desires. You see, behind the walls of that hotel, I committed unspeakable acts, horrific crimes.
I turned that place into a labyrinth of death.
I am H.H. Holmes, known as Herman Mudgett, a notorious American serial killer of the late 19th century. During the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago, I constructed the infamous Murder Castle, a macabre hotel designed to fulfill my sinister desires. With hidden passages, secret rooms, and deadly traps, I ensnared unsuspecting guests. Inside the walls of my murder castle, I derived both financial gain and sadistic pleasure from torturing and murdering my victims. Though the exact number is uncertain, it is believed that my victims may have reached as high as 200. However, my reign of terror came to an end when I was apprehended, tried, and ultimately executed for my horrific crimes. Today, I am remembered as one of America's earliest and most chilling serial killers, leaving behind a legacy that continues to fascinate and horrify, forever etched in the dark chapters of criminal history.
I am Herman Webster Mudgett, though the world would come to know me by another name, H.H. Holmes. Let me take you through the twisted corridors of my life, where the lines between truth and deception blurred, and darkness reigned. As a child, I harbored secrets that no one could fathom. My dual identity was born in innocence, but it would soon take a sinister turn. I embarked on a journey of medical studies, an endeavor that would later offer me the tools to commit unthinkable atrocities. I was one of the most notorious criminals in the late 19th century. I was often referred to as America's first serial killer. My castle stood as a monument to my darkest desires. It was a house of horrors, designed for one purpose, to conceal my wickedness. My most infamous crime was the construction of a 3-story hotel in Chicago, known as the Murder Castle or the World's Fair Hotel. The hotel was designed with secret passages, trapdoors, and soundproof rooms, making it a sinister labyrinth where I could carry out my murderous deeds unnoticed. I used the hotel during the 1893 Chicago World's Fair to lure, torture, and do away with my victims. I was a master of deception, weaving a web of lies and charming my victims into my sinister embrace. I confessed to the murder of 27 people, though the actual number of my victims remains uncertain. I often targeted young women, and my crimes ranged from fraud to insurance scams to murder. I would seduce and manipulate my victims, swindling them of their money and, in some cases, eliminating them for financial gain or pleasure. In the end, my web unraveled, and justice caught up with me. I faced the consequences of my malevolent acts. I was eventually caught, tried, and sentenced to death. In 1896, I was executed by hanging in Philadelphia. I am H. Holmes, a name forever etched in the annals of criminal history. My life was a tapestry of darkness, woven with the threads of deceit and murder. As you delve into my story, remember that the line between good and evil is often thinner than you'd like to believe.